Here's the new Fender 1965 American Vintage II Stratocaster in Sonic Blue for $24.19. And here's the new Fender Vintera II Road Worn in Sonic Blue for $15.99. I'm going to compare the specs, the features, the sound of both guitars, and I think you'll be surprised. Is this the custom shop killer at an affordable price? As they used to say back in the 60s, stay tuned. I couldn't wait to get my hands on an American Vintage II Strat when it first came out. It checked all the boxes for me. I'm partial towards the look and feel of vintage guitars, and the American Vintage II series was right up my alley. Now here comes the Mexican-made Vintera II Road Worn, and it looks pretty close to the American Vintage II for $820 less. Okay, let's talk specs to start with. The 1965 American Vintage II Stratocaster has an alder body. It's finished in nitro lacquer. The fretboard is a rosewood round laminated with pearloid dot inlays. The neck carve is a 1965 C-shape, and it's got a 7.25 radius. It has tall vintage frets with a bone nut with a 1.65-inch width. The tremolo is the vintage synchronized with bent steel saddles. The tuners are deluxe pure vintage. The pickups are pure vintage 65 gray bottom pickups, and the controls are 1 volume and 2 tones. It has a 5-way switch, and it comes with 10-gauge strings and includes a hard shell case. Now the Vintera II Road Worn has an alder body. It's also finished in a nitrocellulose lacquer. The fretboard is a rosewood slab fretboard, and the shape is a 60s C-shape. It has a 7.25-inch radius with clay dots, and the nut is synthetic bone. The tremolo is the vintage synchronized with bent steel saddles. The tuners are vintage style tuners. The pickups are the vintage style 60s pickups, and the controls are the same with 1 volume and 2 tones. It has a 5-way switch, and it comes with 9-gauge strings. It also includes a hard case. So, judging from the specs, there's not a whole lot of difference between these two guitars. But the specs don't tell the whole story. Since I own both guitars, I'm going to give you my insight on how these two guitars compare. Let's begin with the body. Without a doubt, the standout feature on this guitar is the age lacquer finish and the subtle checking. The finish on the Road Worn body does not look like it's been beat with a hammer and sanded down on the edges. It looks like an old guitar that someone took really good care of, and the only real signs of wear and age is the slight semi-gloss finish and the checking or finish cracking, which again is very subtle. And this is really the story on the whole guitar. This Road Worn limited edition does not have the kind of wear you get from being dragged behind a truck down 40 miles of bad road. It's more like the kind of wear you'll find on a guitar that's been stored in its case in the closet. So how much difference does a lacquer finish make to the guitar? Does it sound different? I've heard players say that the thinner lacquer finish allows the tone of the guitar to come out more easily because it's not trapped under a thick coat of poly, and this allows the wood to vibrate easier and to project more. The guitar can breathe more, and so it's more resonant. Well, maybe? Okay, this may or may not be a correct statement, but I do like the way it looks, and I like the fact that the guitar starts with a few decades of wear on it, and I can continue to put my own signature on it. So Fender has given me a little jump start on the aging process. Notice the color difference between these two guitars. Both are finished in Sonic Blue, but the American Vintage II is a much lighter and more washed out blue with maybe a little green in the tint. The Vintera is a slightly more saturated blue color. The neck on the Vintera Road Worn is what Fender calls a 60s C-shape. It's not as chunky as the American Vintage series. In comparison, the Vintera neck has less depth. The width is the same, but it's more narrow from top to bottom. The American Vintage II is definitely not like a baseball bat 50s neck, but it's got a little more wood. It's really more of a feel difference. I don't have big hands, and I don't have any problem getting around easily on both guitars. I've complained previously about lacquer necks feeling sticky. It's just the nature of the beast. Even on custom shop guitars, the lacquer feels sticky. And the same is true on the road-worn Vintera. It's not quite the same as playing a guitar for decades and wearing down the lacquer to a slick, woody feel. I don't know if it's the newer formula lacquers or the way they're treating it for the aging process, but it's not the same as an actual vintage guitar. I do like the aged look of the maple on the back of the neck, but I think Fender's gone a little overboard on the aged tint lacquer. It just looks a little too dark to me. If anybody out there has a 60-year-old guitar, please let me know if this looks right. And don't forget the truss rod adjustment on both guitars is at the heel of the neck, true to vintage, and you have to remove or at least loosen the neck to adjust the truss rod. Or you can just jam a screwdriver down between the pickguard and rough it up a bit if you want a more relic look. Both guitars have a rosewood fretboard. The American Vintage has pearloid dot fret markers, and the Vintera Road-Worn has clay dots. The Vintera Road-Worn has a slab rosewood fretboard, meaning the fretboard is cut flat on the bottom and it's glued to the maple neck. The 1965 American Vintage is unique with its rounded laminate cut fretboard. The fret ends on the American Vintage are super smooth, and you can tell they spent a lot of time at the factory getting it right. The Vintera Road-Worn is not quite as smooth. It's not enough to bother me, but you can tell it's not the same smooth feeling you get on the American Vintage 2, which gives you that feel of an expensive custom shop guitar. The frets on the Vintera are not finished as smoothly either, and you can feel the scratchiness a little bit when you bend the notes. Of course, this can be fixed easily just with a little fine sandpaper. From the factory, both guitars needed a little TLC and could benefit from some oil or conditioning on the fretboard to get that nice, rich, dark color. From the factory, the rosewood is a little dry and grayish looking. Both guitars come with vintage tall frets. One interesting touch on the Vintera Road-Worn is the aging on the rosewood fretboard. It looks like streaks between the strings that comes with a lot of playing. Thank goodness the frets are not aged. The intonation on the Vintera Road-Worn was spot on from the factory, which is great. The setup was not exactly the way I prefer, but it was a good starting place. The tremolo from the factory was set a little too loose for me, so I tightened the springs up on the back a little, and that brought the bridge down flat to the body, and that's the way I prefer it. The hardware on the 1965 American Vintage 2 is what they call pure vintage, and it's made on Leo Fender's original machines from back in the day, and it's the same hardware as the custom shop stuff. I think the hardware may be a little bit better and possibly a little bit heavier gauge, but it's definitely more true to the original old school hardware. The hardware on the Vintera Road-Worn is, well, road-worn. It's aged to look like it's been through a few decades of use. And I don't mean abuse. The hardware like the tuners, the bridge, the tremolo, the jack plate, all have some slight pitting and scratching that give the guitar a worn and well-played look. Okay, now let's take a look under the pickguard and see what's going on in Sonata. First off, it's got a 3-ply 60s mint green pickguard. I've said before, I don't really like the mint green pickguard. It's too green. I don't think it looks vintage correct. I really prefer a parchment pickguard, or better yet, the slightly worn pickguards that are made by Guitar Slinger. They're not cheap, but they really get the aged look right. The rest of the plastics on both guitars, the pickup covers, the tone and volume knobs, the switch and tremolo tip, and the backplate are parchment. The pickups on the Vintera are what Fender calls vintage-style, mid-60s, single-coil Alnico 5 pickups with plain enameled wire and staggered pole pieces. The wiring on the American Vintage is cloth and more true to the original spec. There is no reverse wound middle pickup on either of these guitars, so no noise canceling positions. The resistance reading on the 1965 American Vintage is 5.88 in the neck position, 5.87 in the middle position, and 6.09 in the bridge position. The reading for the Vintera 2 Road Worn is 5.26 in the neck position, 5.27 in the middle position, and 5.23 in the bridge position. The sound of these two guitars are pretty close. Both guitars sound really good. The output is about the same on both guitars. The American Vintage has maybe a little smoother top end with a little more mids, and the Vintera 2 Road Worn is a little scoop sounding and maybe a bit brighter top end. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Okay, I'm going to play a few guitar sound samples, and just a note, I'll be playing clean with the volume at about 4 on a 1969 Fender Super Reverb. So, which guitar is better? The American Vintage 2 has more authentic hardware. Does that make a big difference? Probably not. The American Vintage 2 body is probably put together with fewer pieces of wood. And I know on the Vintera Road Worn, I can see the seams for at least 4 pieces of wood on the guitar body that I have. Does that make a difference? Maybe. The American Vintage 2, I think, has better fit and finish, smoother fret edges, and a more solid feel. The American Vintage 2 is made in the USA, which usually means it's going to hold its value and have a higher resale. So what does the Vintera 2 Road Worn have going for it? Number one, the price. It costs less. Not as less as I'd like, though. Let's face it, $1,600 is a lot of money for a made in Ensenada guitar. But less money is a big factor, and $800 less is a big number. It's also got custom shop type aging, which is a big plus, if you like that. Some people could care less if it looks like the finish is cracked. Other than that, it comes down to a matter of taste. After all the careful analysis and the detailed scrutinizing of all the aspects of this guitar, it really comes down to, does this guitar make you want to play? Does it speak to you? Does it feel right in your hands? Does it have something special that grabs you? Does it inspire you to write songs? Does it inspire you to play better? Does it sing? Does it feel alive in your hands, or does it fight you and make you work harder to get a sound? Do all these little details add up to a guitar that hours of playing goes by and you still can't put it down? These are the qualities in a guitar that I look for. I'd love to tell you that the Mexican-made Vintera 2 Road Worn is just as good as the 1965 American Vintage 2, but it's not. It can't be. Fender is not going to give you the same quality guitar for $820 less. They have a whole marketing department working full-time to create different price points for different levels and markets. You get what you pay for. I think it's true here. You're not going to get a custom shop guitar at this price point, but is it close enough? The quality is definitely better on the 1965 American Vintage 2, and you can definitely feel it. Don't get me wrong, I like the Vintera Road Worn a lot. Would I trade my 65 American Vintage for it? No. Do I think the Vintera Road Worn is a good guitar for the money? Yes, I definitely do. I think it's worth the $1,600, and especially because it includes a hard case. But it's not for everyone. The crackle finish body and the road worn neck is for someone that wants the look of an aged guitar, and not everyone wants that. I have to tell you, I like the idea of having a custom shop closet queen for an affordable price, and that's what originally got my attention. Does it live up to that? Not quite. The aging to me is a little confusing. The checking is so subtle that it's almost invisible. The wear on the hardware in the neck is more obvious. Then you have all the brand new shiny plastics, which have no aging. The aging doesn't seem to all work together as one guitar. I almost want the guitar to be more beat up because it's kind of in the middle now, and I'm not sure if the look is new or old. So this is the first Mexican-made guitar I've seen that's branded as made in Ensenada. Okay, props to Ensenada. They do really good work, so shout out to Ensenada and stand up and be proud. One final note. Fender has said this is a limited edition and they're making one run, and when these are gone, they're gone. If that's true, then this guitar will probably hold its value a little better, seeing how there won't be as many of them around. The Vintera Road Worn got my attention right away because I have several Vinteras and I really like the Vintera series. Although I'm not a fan of relic guitars, I do like the look of a closet classic or a well-aged guitar that feels like a pair of old shoes that are easy on your feet and comfortable to wear. Really, what you're getting in the Road Worn is just a little head start on the natural aging process and the break-in period. And Lord knows I can use that. I don't have another 50 years to break in a guitar, so a little head start is a welcome feature. Heck, I'd be lucky if I get 10 years. So thank you, Fender. If you enjoyed this review, please subscribe and hit the like button. Leave me a comment, let me know what you think. I read all the comments and I respond back to the questions. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it.